Hi guys, welcome again to episode 12 of Row and Low Vegan NTO. Today we're making
apple pie in honor of Thanksgiving. This is kind of a technical recipe, but don't worry because Lauren is going to walk you through all of the steps to yield the same results as we're going to be getting at the end of this video. So stay tuned and see how Lauren makes this amazing vegan apple pie. Let's get baking, and we wish everyone a very beautiful Thanksgiving and a very beautiful long weekend as well.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, see ya in the kitchen.
All right guys, so we're back in the kitchen and I'm going to be showing you how to make the apple pie. The first thing that we have to do is make the pastry. A trick to making amazing pastry is having all your ingredients cold. So I've already measured out my flour, my fat, and my water. They're in the fridge and in the freezer cooling. So I'm going to grab them and I'm going to walk you through the process on how to make pastry. Okay, so here I have my all-purpose flour already measured with my salt and a bit of sugar. So here I have my vegan butter and my shortening already measured out. You kind of want to massage the fat into your flour into pea-size like balls. So basically it's like you roll it through your fingers like so. You want to work fast. Now we'll be adding the water. I had 6 to 8 tablespoons of water cooling, and you're just gonna add it little by little and you're gonna stir it all together. So don't add all of it at once, just like a little bit of a drizzle and kind of like toss and stir. We are now gonna use our hands to knead it. Oh, it feels so good. And basically you just kind of like press it in. You can see it's starting to come together. Grab your excess crumbs, put them on the table, and just kind of knead it together 10 times or so. Mush it into a circle. Now, for apple pie, I want a top and a bottom crust, so I'm gonna divide it in half. Okay, so we have our 2 discs of pastry done. What we're gonna do is we're gonna wrap them up, put them in the fridge, and they have to rest to relax the gluten and gliadin for 1 hour, and then in that time, I'll show you about the apples. Here in this bowl, I have a mixture of coconut sugar and white sugar with cinnamon, a dash of nutmeg, and a little bit of salt, and I've just mixed it. This is our apple seasoning. It smells really good. We want the apples to shine. We don't want too much to overpower these beautiful apples. These apples are Cortland apples, and these, in my opinion, are the best apples for apple pie. They pack the most flavor, they're juicy, they're not too sweet, they're not too sour. They hold really well when you bake them. They're not in season for that long, so when they are in season, you really want to take advantage of them, and an apple pie is a great way to let them shine through. You peeled your apple. We're gonna half it, quarter it, and we're gonna take the core out, so just go like so. I like thin slices, so 1/4 inch thick, that's probably what I suggest. And yeah, put them in your bowl. Oh, also, always taste your apple first. That's a good apple. Woo. And it's a little tart. When you feel it kind of hit your jaw, it kind of like zing. It means it's got a good tartness to it, a good bite. No need for lemon juice. If your apples are too sweet, I recommend putting in a lemon because it brightens the flavor. Today, these apples are perfect. I will not be adding lemon. So I have all 6 apples peeled and sliced. And now I'm going to be adding my apple spice mixture. Just because I love to taste my food. Taste it.
I want to taste it.
Oh. Also, I did forget to mention there is a little bit of flour in it because we're going to create a sauce out of that. That's what keeps it nice and thick rather than watery. And you can just let this sit now until your pastry is ready. So I actually put the pastry in the freezer. It's hard, and you're gonna need a bit of manpower to get this going. So get your all-purpose flour and dust your work surface. Get it all over your hands, and you're gonna wanna like smush it down. And keep it circular. Okay. Great. Always make sure you've got lots of flour on the bottom of your pastry. This is so you don't get stickage. Get your rolling pin, start in the middle, and just kind of push it outwards. But you have to rotate your pastry. Lift it up. When you start to see this, like when you start to see that it cracks, use your hands to kind of push it back together. This is our bottom crust, so your bottom crust actually does not need to be as nice as your top crust. This will not be seen. Now, once it gets to kind of like this size, and you can feel that your pastry wants to pull apart, just be a little bit gentler with it. This is where now the love and the tender sort of approach comes. What you're gonna do is you're gonna use your plate as a guide. So you can see that it's perfectly covering the bottom, but it's not quite big enough to come up to the top and over. That's what we're going for. So your pie plate is your guide to how big you need to roll your crust. So lift it up, make sure there's constant flour underneath. Roll it out. Always roll from the center. Feel it. Is it thicker on certain places? Like right here for me, it feels a bit thicker. If you see that there's like a lot of flour, just brush it off. There you go. You get your pie plate. Get your rolling pin. Just kind of mush it in place so that there's no air bubbles. You want your pastry to hang over. Beautiful. This is when you grab your apples, give them a nice toss. Put your apples in your crust. Use all the juice. Pour the juice in. Before you do that, I like to put just a little bit, like 2 or 3 dollops of, you can use vegan butter. Today I'm gonna use a bit of coconut oil. It's just gonna make that applesauce a tad bit more richer and creamier. So literally dollops, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will cook down and just get nice and beautiful. We don't want our pastry to get too hot and soft while we're rolling our top layer. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the pastry and the apples into the freezer and roll our top layer. You want your top crust to be a little bit thinner than the bottom. Bottom obviously is holding your apples, so it needs to be sturdy. What you want to do is kind of make sure that all the pastry that's hanging around the edges is all even. And basically, you're going to roll the pastry underneath in towards the pie. We want an even crust. Then, you're gonna get your fingers like so. And we're gonna do a pinching motion along the side to make a nice border. You can use a fork, you can leave it as is. There's many ways you can do borders for your crust. This is my preferred. To bind our little 3 leaves, I'm going to take vanilla almond milk and just make a little bit of a glue. Take your leaves, push them on, put a nice little arrangement. And one other thing I like to do is I like to score it to make it look like a leaf, because when it cooks, it'll actually show the indentation. You always have to put whole for your apples to steam. Get your last bit of almond milk, lightly brush it on. Okay, all around the edges, la la la. Apple pie is festive. We want to go over the top with this. We want to put so much love, so much effort. We want this perfect. You're sharing this with your friends and family. They deserve 110%. This is the last touch. You're gonna grab your crystallized sugar. They look like little jewels. Get yourself a little handful. Put it on top, all around the edges. Oh no,
There's one more
there's
green.
a green one. Get it off. Well, okay, well it's stained. Now, I know you're like, I want to eat this, but I want to make you have the best apple pie ever. You need to put this back in the freezer. I'm really sorry guys, but you need your pastry to be cold before it gets into your very hot oven. So we're just gonna put it in the freezer for 15 minutes. It doesn't need to be long, it just needs to get cold. So our pie has been in the freezer for about 30 minutes, cooling and firming back up. My oven is set for 425 degrees Fahrenheit. You want really cold pastry entering a really hot oven. That's how you're gonna have your pastry staying intact. It's not gonna melt. If your oven's too cool, I guess you could say, like not hot enough, your pastry will melt and it's just gonna look terrible. So that's why you have to have cold pastry, hot oven. So let's get the pie in the oven. It's gonna cook about 40 minutes to an hour. You wanna check it around 40 minutes. Beautiful, look at this pie. You want it to cook at 425 degrees for around 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, to like shock it, and we can bring the temperature down. To really cook your apples nice and evenly, and that's really how you get a perfect apple pie. Okay guys, look at this. Rosalind's just freaking like antsy to eat it.
It looks so good.
And it smells like heaven. When we were cutting the crust, you should have heard it. It was a beautiful sound. Oh my god. Yes!
Wow.
I love the pastry, the flake.
This is just ridiculous.
The apples are perfectly cooked. They're not too mushy, they're not too hard, and they taste like apples. I love this. This for me.
This is the best pie I've ever had.
Yeah, I know.
This is a home style, home cooked
Apple pie.
apple pie.
So please guys, if you really love apple pie and you're looking for something amazing to bring to a function for Thanksgiving for your family, I highly recommend this pie, and putting in the effort. It goes a long way. Have a happy Thanksgiving and gobble gobble.